Well, the final day of the certification motion hearings in Carrie Sakamoto's proposed class action lawsuit against the governments of Canada and Alberta was June 18th, and it marked a significant anniversary for Carrie and her family. It marked 5 years to the day that their lives were forever changed by the Pfizer shot.
The upcoming hearing is a pivotal moment for me and other injured people seeking legal avenues for accountability and compensation outside the government support program that's not working. If the government's been supporting us from day one, like they said, they would not be sitting here in this position today.
Carrie's been such an incredible plaintiff in all of this. Just what she went through is difficult to hear. And on that point, both defendants acknowledge this has been a difficult time for her, but not accepting at all any responsibility for it.
Now, Carrie's fighting back in the courts for accountability and justice, not just for herself, but for all of our vaccine injured friends. Hello, everyone. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Lich. Carrie Sakamoto is an Alberta wife and mother who did exactly what the Canadian government, public health agencies, and the mainstream media told her to do for the good of her country: get vaccinated. After repeatedly hearing from these agencies that the vaccines were safe, effective, and interchangeable, she received her first dose of AstraZeneca in April of 2021. She was left feeling unwell, but did recover. The Pfizer shot for her second vaccination, however, very nearly killed her. She was hospitalized, unable to walk, talk, chew, or concentrate, and was left with partial face paralysis, hearing and vision problems, and many other health issues. Her family were forced to sell their farm and move into the city as Carrie was simply unable to manage it any longer. Now, I was able to head to Ottawa last week to sit in on the 4 days of hearings for the certification motion hearing with Carrie. And I was able to meet her prior to the hearings beginning to get some of her thoughts on the proposed class action and the allegations that are laid out in her statement of claim. Here's what she told me.
The core allegations are both the governments provided the public with false and misleading, incomplete information regarding the safety and efficacy of vaccines. Thereby, they were preventing citizens from giving true informed consent. The claim I also allege is negligence, misfeasance in public office, and failure to properly warn the public about the risks.
Now, day 2 of the hearing saw the defense counsel for the government of Canada argue against the certification motion, citing while the legal tests were not met in this case to proceed as a class action, and referred often throughout the pleadings to the Hartman case. Now, Dan Hartman's had a case similar to Carrie's against the government, which was recently struck down. They did appeal it in the Ontario Appeals Court. That was upheld, and they have since very recently filed an appeal with the Supreme Court of Canada. Now, while both counsel for Alberta as well as the Canadian government did acknowledge Carrie's injuries and the challenges that she and her family has faced, it was still very difficult to sit through part of these hearings, listening to them deflect, deny what had happened to the vaccine injured, point fingers at the victims, so to speak. At one point, the senior lawyer, when speaking about the VISP program, stated that while it was known that Carrie had been accepted into the program in 2024, that she had been offered compensation from the program, it was not known whether she had accepted it or not. And that if she had, he asked, what could her damages be? It just seemed incredibly dismissive and incredibly cold. Now, Carrie herself has described the VIS program as extremely frustrating, dehumanizing, incredibly dismissive, and at times abusive. Now, Carrie does have a Give, Send, Go set up, and you can search it on the site called Vaccine Injury Journey if you want to help her with her legal fees as she navigates this. So as a wrap up, we listened to Eva Chipiuk's arguments on the first day, why this should proceed as a class action lawsuit. We obviously heard from the governments of Canada and Alberta in the 2 days leading to that, followed by Eva Chipiuk's reply at the end, and that's where things wrapped up.
Oh, 100%. Carrie's been such an incredible plaintiff in all of this. Just what she went through is difficult to hear. And on that point, both defendants acknowledge this has been a difficult time for her, but not accepting at all any responsibility for it. The thing that I can't get my mind over is any medical intervention carries risk. That shouldn't be in dispute. And so when the government is going around not just promoting it, but using social coercion through mandates. There's a responsibility to those public agencies to take care of these people that are injured, because they've taken on a burden on behalf of the public, and they're owed some kind of consequence, something for that consequence.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to accomplish here, just something in recognition for that burden that they've taken.
It is now up to Justice Dilts to determine if a class action is the appropriate avenue to proceed, or whether plaintiffs in this case will have to seek justice through individual claims. As expected, the justice reserved her decision, and we should be hoping to hear something in about 3 to 5 months. Now, I also had the opportunity to reach out to Michelle Wharton, who is the co-founder of the CanRise 19 advocacy organization for the vaccine injured. Michelle herself being severely affected by adverse events of the vaccine. And here's what she had to say over email. Last week's court proceedings highlighted why many Canadians continue to seek accountability, transparency, and a thorough evaluation of Canada's pandemic response, including public health policies, vaccine approval processes, recommendations, and the effectiveness of support systems established for those reporting serious adverse events. These concerns raised regarding the Federal Vaccine Injury Support Program, now the Vaccine Impact Assistance Program, underscored what many view as a significant gap between government commitments and the realities faced by affected Canadians. For many, the program reflects a failure to uphold assurances that no Canadian would be left behind. Comments suggesting that the pandemic is over and questioning why we should look back were disappointing to many in our community, as they risk further dismissing the experiences of those who continue to seek answers, support, and accountability 5 years later. Now, in those comments, Ms. Wharton is referring to the comments made by the Council for the Canadian Government that did seem incredibly dismissive, as I said, and the victim blame. Well, one of the many reasons that I am so honored and grateful to be a Rebel News employee is that they were one of the very first organizations to bring us the stories of our COVID-19 vaccine injured here in Canada. If you want to continue to see these stories, or you want to support the work that we're doing to cover these stories and these very important legal cases, please visit nommoreshots.ca.